Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Sankirtan ki Jai. Okay, we'll begin. I'll share my screen. Just give me 1 second. So, welcome to the first session. We are going to today. This session is about teaching a little bit of Sanskrit basics as well as in the context of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. And in this session, today, first session, we are going to discuss a brief introduction of the whole series as well as brief introduction to Sanskrit. And we'll jump into learning the vowels in Sanskrit, which are called swaraha. Okay. I'll use the... Okay. Okay. First, today's section, as we discussed, today's session, we are going to discuss an introduction and we are going to discuss some elements of Sanskrit. Okay. Then in introduction, so first briefly, I think I invited all the parents also to join. I don't know how many have joined, but I want to briefly share our journey so far. 2013, our twin boys were born in Seattle. They were born. So yeah, they grew up like initially they were handful, like because there are two of them. So for 3 years we stayed in Seattle. Of course, by the time we already took up initiation and we were practicing for almost 8 years by that time. We took up Krishna consciousness in 2004. Um, so then we already knew the philosophy, like, that the purpose or the goal of a being a, or the duty of a mother as a father is to deliver their dependents. And also, so that was always there while we are raising them up, like how we can give them a Krishna conscious environment. So we were part of the temple congregation and doing our services and things like that. Okay. Then then in 2016, we decided to move to Houston because they're 3 years at that time and we needed to give them some academic education as well, along with Krishna consciousness. So the Houston had a very nice school, Goswami Academy. It's run by devotees. So they were kind of giving a devotional environment along with academic education there. So we moved to Houston. So 2 years went by there in trying to build a house there, everything. And then when they were 5, this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam always kept inspiring me, which says, Kaumara acharet pragnyo dharman bhagavata niha. So Srila Prahlad Maharaj says this verse. He says that one has to begin this process of devotional service at an early age, beginning at the age of 5. So kids were already 5. Of course, they were kind of balancing, like they go to temple programs and we do some kirtan at home, and at the same time they go to school. But still, somehow I felt, I could give them more, or rather, I desired they would have a more Krishna conscious experience. So then we started this Kids Bhagavatam program with the devotees in Houston at that time. Some of their classmates used to come, and we used to do summary of the Bhagavatam with images and songs and some drama activities. Everything we did. I think we did till 8th chapter of first canto. Some of the videos are there on our website, lightofgodhead.com. So that's how we started this Kids Bhagavatam. Then that was very happy, like, kids were learning Bhagavatam also in a story way, in a playful way, and it was very nice. It was enlivening to everyone. um, then because why I chose Bhagavatam is that, when I took up Krishna consciousness, I immediately jumped into Shastric studies. So I finished my Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, and now I'm actually doing Bhakti Vedanta. So I relished so much Srimad Bhagavatam. Like, it was so nectarian and it's Paramahamsa Samhita, as we all know. So I wanted to give them the taste for Bhagavatam at the early age. So later when they grow up, they can on their own pick up the books and study. So that's how we started with Bhagavatam. And then in 2018, but parallelly in our thought process, um, this instruction of our Guru Maharaj, who when he gave during when the kids were born, along with their names, our Guru Maharaj has given an instruction, or actually like a blessing, that the kids will be scholars and preachers. in Krishna consciousness, and they will be great soldiers in Krishna consciousness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. He told that in 2013 when they are born, actually. So, but then of course we got busy with raising them, and it was not really forefront in our consciousness that this is how we should mold our lives, gearing towards this. So just life was going by, they were going to school and having all this things. But then somehow my husband also felt like he grew up in a joint family in India. So he felt he wants to give that environment to our kids so that they have other support people to support other than just the parents. So that was also one inclination. And then we also felt, oh, Guru Maharaj told they need to study Sanskrit, they have to become scholars. So, of course, in US, I don't know how many options are there from childhood to learn Sanskrit. So obviously, an obvious choice was, okay, we should probably move to India. So in December 2018, we came first to explore what are the options are there, what schooling options are there in India, which can systematically teach Sanskrit from childhood. Of course, then we found out there are so many gurukulas actually. Every sampradaya has gurukula, like our Dvaita sampradaya, which is our parent sampradaya. They also have mattas, everything here, and even Advaita have mattas. So everybody has they teach Sanskrit, but they also teach their philosophy along with it. Of course, Dvaita philosophy is good for us to absorb. But then we explored. There were some other issues there, and main concern I had was like once we put them in Gurukula, then whole day or rather they will be staying there only, and whatever we wish to give in our Krishna consciousness, we will not be able to give them, like our artis or our process which Srila Prabhupada has given, or the Tulsi Puja or our chanting and Sankirtan and the mood, that's what has to be instilled from the childhood, step by step. It suddenly at 16 years we cannot say, okay, now this is how the process Srila Prabhupada gave, follow it. We cannot tell like that. So it has to be instilled from childhood, step by step. So I felt like I will miss that moments where if I put them in Gurukula. So we were exploring what are the options are there where they can study Sanskrit at the same time follow our curriculum of Krishna consciousness. Also, they grow in that. Um, so that's so. And then in 2018, we visited one of the devotee. I think many of you may know Bharat Chandra Prabhu. He is a CT director here, Center for Traditional Education. So he actually in our meeting he told kids by the time they're 6 years old they should be reading writing fluently the Sanskrit. Then I felt by the time kids were already 5.5 years. Then I felt, oh, kids are already 5.5, and somehow that instruction stayed back with me when I went back to Houston again. Then okay, how do I let them get that advantage without losing their age? I knew only Hindi as a third language during my college days, and very well I knew. So then I felt, okay, let me start them with alphabets, because the lipi is same between Hindi and Sanskrit. So then I felt, they're too young, they will not sit with me alone. So then I brought their friends together. We made like once a week program. And then I devised some charts and cards, which I will share with all of you, alphabet cards and charts. So playfully, I taught them the letters after understanding the difference between pronunciation between Sanskrit and Hindi. So they loved it so much and they picked up naturally and happily because we presented in joyful way. These are actually until that time, even though I am a Telugu speaking person and my husband is a Kannadiga, he speaks Kannada, because we both have different language and we spend a lot of time in US. We both talk in English actually, used to talk in English. And so kids also were born in US, so obviously they naturally were talking in English in school, college, everywhere. So they didn't know any language other than English at that time. So I was a little bit puzzled, would they pick up a new language, that too, Sanskritam, which has a vast Varnamala, so many. In English, we have only 26 alphabet, right? But Sanskrit has at least 50 alphabet. So how are they going to differentiate the letters, identify and things like that? But we thought, okay, let me get started, how it is. But we saw within 2 months, actually, they were able to read and recognize the letters independently. Then the next step was, I want to make them fluent in reading and writing. So then we took the next 1 year in using Bhagavad Gita as a basis to teach them how to make it reading and writing fluent. So by the time they were 7, already, they were very fluent in at least reading and writing. Of course, Sanskrit as speaking language, they were not, because I myself didn't know it. Um, so then, by the time, I also had a little bit desire that, okay, maybe I should also study Sanskrit, but then I was mainly dedicated to helping them. Then finally, this what we discussed just now, and finally, as the time was going back, and then we had the COVID and things like that, but our desire to move to India was also getting firm. Then finally, in 2020, we moved to India permanently. We explored couple of places, couple of gurukulas, everything, and finally we moved different places. We stayed in Bangalore for some time. Then we moved into the mode of homeschooling. And then I understood, actually, kids were picking up Sanskrit very fast. So, and as I told you, I didn't have any Sanskrit background myself. So I understood that I cannot be their teacher, in the sense that I cannot be learning at the same time teaching. They need a well-versed expert teacher who already knows a lot in this ground, so they can speak in Sanskrit with them, and they can lead them to higher level. So then little bit we started with online classes and everything, and then after Bangalore we moved to a city called, rather a village called Mathur in Shimoga district, which is considered like a Sanskrit speaking village. And we had the flexibility because I was working from home and my husband quit his job from US. So we had the flexibility to move wherever their education would be apt for them. There, somebody can teach them properly. So we stayed there 1 year, and kids, because of the background of reading, writing experience they have, they quickly finished a 3 year syllabus in 1 year, which is considered a seventh grade level exam. They finished in 1 year when they were basically 10 years actually. And then the next step was they have to do a 10th grade level exam. That is called Kavya. Karnataka Sanskrit University has an official exam, a syllabus, everything for geared towards that. So then after that, the teacher who was taking responsibility for teaching our kids, he had to move to Sringeri in Karnataka. That there is a Central Sanskrit University here. So the teacher moved, and we were despondent. Oh, then who is going to take responsibility for our kids? We are doing like this. Then he said, don't worry, if you want to move here, I will arrange everything, all the teachers and everything. So actually, he only found a place for us. And then we moved very quickly. That is like almost 3 years back now. And then they rigorously started this Kavya exam when they were 10 years. Um, that is like a 10th grade level exam. So that has like 6 subjects, all fully in Sanskrit. One English subject is there. And then, so then they slowly picked up the speaking in Sanskrit, and the teachers were teaching the subjects in Sanskrit. So they picked up a lot of depth in, conversational Sanskrit, as well as grammar elements and things like that. And then I realized, we decided actually, or everybody together decided, that they are going to take Sanskrit as their career in future. Like, we have multiple options here in India. They could go up till PhD in Sanskrit, that too in depth, taking one of the darshanas, for example, Dvaita or Nyaya or Vyakarana, and study for many years and get the depth needed. So then I felt, to guide them, because we took the responsibility for homeschooling and guide them in Sanskrit. I also need to get familiar a little bit at the advanced subjects, so that I can guide them which path to take, or how it's going to be conducive to Krishna consciousness at the same time, and things like that. Then I also took that Kavya exam. Actually, when they were doing the seventh grade level exam, I took the Kavya exam. And then when they started the Kavya preparation here in Shringeri, I also decided to pursue my MA. Okay, so this was discussed, and actually how it came about is little bit. I'll briefly speak about this. In 2022 Kartik Parikrama, our Guru Maharaj just takes us for our Kartik Parikrama. So there we visited a place called Kadamba Kandi, which is actually Jiva Goswami's Bhajana Kutir there. So there Bhajanasthali. There Maharaj told at the end, all of you, these are all Kadamba trees, there are Kalpavruksha trees. All of you, you can hug them and you pray that you can be instruments of Lord Chaitanya's mission, that, you get the purity, that you will have a way to share this knowledge to everybody, or some other way you can contribute to the mission. So as sincerely we tried to, all of us did that. So after Kartik Parikrama, we came back to Shimoga, where Mathur, where we were staying. And while chanting and all, this thought was coming up actually that, okay, I'm dedicating my life completely to help our kids, which is our instruction we received. But soon they will become big and they will have their own, they will fly out actually, in the sense that as a small bird, mother takes care, but later the bird has its wings and it flies out. So like that, they will have their own preaching services. They will travel everywhere. They will not need their mother to, be there with them, even as at emotional level also, forget about physical needs. So then I felt, what would be my contribution to the society, So then, in that prayer and meditation, it was revealed that already Krishna has set up everything for me. Like, already I am into this mode of teaching kids, which I love so much. Actually, I love teaching. Generally, I love teaching, and especially kids. I love so much. Generally, many people don't have the patience to deal with small children. But somehow maybe I have a little bit. So then I felt, okay, that's what I need to do. But for that, I need to dedicate my life to give this Sanskrit knowledge and Krishna consciousness to the younger generation. But then I felt, okay, I just finished Kavya. Okay, if I tell I did Kavya, I'm going to teach your kids Sanskrit, who will appreciate, right? They feel, somebody has to be well educated for that. Then I felt the best is to pursue a degree in Sanskrit completely. So then that's how we started. And I started my MA also 2 years back. And we just finished a month back, actually. So that's the whole journey. So, and recently in March, the kids finished their Kavya exam when they were 12, and they got 87% in all the 6 subjects together. And I also finished my MA. So actually, this is a right moment for us in our lives where our kids are also a little bit mature enough. And also, I also know a little bit. So we can offer this course. Especially, this is very unique in the sense that, see, if we have to traditionally learn Sanskrit, and the teachers there are traditionally learned in Sanskrit, and many of them they don't know how to talk in English also, because they're so much into Sanskrit from childhood. They cannot relate with English audience so much. So they cannot kind of, take the people who have English background gradually to Sanskrit. So that that skill set is very rare. And people who know English and take up Sanskrit later, they may know bits and pieces, not fully. They may not be able to get the complete thing. So this skill set. So I would offer that bridging gap between Sanskrit to English, and then my our kids who are trained a little bit, at least until now 6 years, in this rigorously in this curriculum from the authorized teachers, would give you the traditional contribution. So that way together we will be able to offer a wonderful unique way to learn this and make it easy for us to learn. So that's the thing I wanted to share at this point. Okay, now we'll move to the next one. I don't know how many of you are in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara or ISKCON as such, but in general here I am sharing what our Srila Prabhupada has spoken about Sanskrit. So that way we know that we are in line with our Parampara and instructions given by our founder Acharya. So Srila Prabhupada has actually mentioned, I'm not going to read for the sake of brevity, I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but you can read at your leisure. I'm going to share the slides. He said that, of course, to become a very pakka in any line within Sanskrit, there are many lines, as I mentioned. There are many darshanas, and there is, for example, Nyaya or Jyotishya or, Veda, and so many disciplines open up once we start learning, reading Sanskrit. So even if you take anything and you have to become expert in this, it takes 12 years. And within that, one line is actually grammar, Vyakaranam. So minimum 12 years it takes. And that too, so then that's why Srila Prabhupada actually, for adults who took up Krishna consciousness when they are already grown up, he never encouraged them to read Sanskrit seriously, study, because, that time the moment was that he has to establish the movement, and, he need, and also Srila Prabhupada himself has translated everything to English. So really, in a way, to become perfect in Krishna consciousness, we don't need to learn Sanskrit. Prabhupada has given us everything for us, just by relishing the word-to-word translations and reading the verses, at least pick up little bit of Sanskrit pronunciation and read the verses nicely. The sound vibration will purify us, so we are in touch with the original sound vibration as well as the mood and mission of our Acharya. And actually, Prabhupada said that his commentaries are his devotional ecstasies. So we are already, hearing from a Rajavasi and who is directing us how to do it. So that's good enough for us actually. But at the same time, Srila Prabhupada said that for children, he encouraged very much that they should study Sanskrit. Can everybody mute yourself, please? So for children, especially Srila Prabhupada says that they need to, because they have the advantage. If they start young, even if it's 12 years, there's nothing. See, for example, our boys took up at 5.5, and now they're 12. They are a little bit into this, and they have still long way ahead, and they can learn much more than one line, for example, or many lines, and they can, kind of contribute very much to the society in that way, right? So of course many of people may not be able to take an extreme and adventurous decision like how we have done, where we have given up all the kind of normal academic curriculum and completely devoting to Sanskrit curriculum. Many may not be able to do it, but at least we can add Sanskrit to part of our syllabus, because I'm going to speak about advantages of learning Sanskrit later. So while you're doing your academic studies and science and social and math, other things, just add in the Sanskrit to your studies, which will greatly benefit you. That's what we are offering here. It's just once a week program, and we will give you some tutorials, everything, and then at the end we will give you some homework. If you just follow through systematically and diligently and sincerely, I would promise in 2 years you will definitely get very much a little bit deeper into this subject, starting from reading, writing Devanagari to much more like to the level of even understanding the Sanskrit natively, and at least understanding the Anvaya, how to do Anvaya or the prose order. Okay. So next statement by Srila Prabhupada, same thing. So we want our kids to study Sanskrit because it's very important work. Um, then the next one is also similarly, Sanskrit should be compulsory for all our children to learn, because that time they were Gurukulas in the Dalas, everything. So kids have had the opportunity to have our own curriculum. So Prabhupada said just teach them English and Sanskrit. That's good enough for them to function their role in the society. Okay, so now we'll move to the next section, which is the benefits of Sanskrit. So with Sanskrit, what you will have access to, unlimited traditional knowledge. Our Vedas, Upanishads, everything, or even different branches like Jyotishya. Even if you study, for example, astrology, astronomy within your normal modern curriculum, if you want to know what the rishis have spoken about this subject, because they are self-realized souls who from their realization have gotten this knowledge and are giving them to us, and they have all written that knowledge in Sanskrit. So if while you're studying the academic curriculum, if you can access this ancient literatures and correlate with them, and understand what the rishis have spoken versus what we have spoken, because Srila Prabhupada says, right, there are 4 defects of conditioned souls. There are tendency to commit mistakes, illusions and become illusion, and defective senses, and Brahma or illusion, like and you get confusion, or you can get inattention, right, pramada. So the modern authors, whoever have created the curriculum, all due respects to them, but we don't know how pure they were in their presentation, and how they were able to come up with this knowledge. But we know for sure our rishis have done severe tapasya and everything. That's the culture they had at that time, and they gave this knowledge. So that's the idea, if you can somehow learn little bit of Sanskrit and work on it, you will be able to access all this knowledge. Another thing is, even forget about accessing this knowledge. Just by mere keeping with the Sanskrit and learning little bit of grammar and everything, it has a great potential to improve your brain. See, all of you are very young, maybe 10 years or 8 years, and eventually you want to pick up great disciplines, engineer or doctor or maybe MBA and a manager and things like that, right? So for all the studies and all the contribution you would do, the brain is the core subject matter. How big your brain is to think out of the box, to give creative solutions and all that stuff. So the brain itself, actually, even though we are given with certain amount of memory, it's said that the memory is fixed the moment we are born. But by reciting Sanskrit mantras, shlokas, all of you may know, because already um, all of you may be connected to Krishna consciousness. Um, So by doing that, our brain size also increases. You can search later a video called Sanskrit effect. There is a short video which was given by somebody where they did a research and saw how the devotees who are reciting Vedic mantras have significant development in their brain. And this illustration is given here. For example, Sanskrit, this is a contribution of our grammarian Panini Maharshi, Bhagavan Panini, that he could encapsulate all the possible formations of the Sanskrit words which could exist, which will exist, and which are existing in grammar called Vyakaranam, or called it's a Paninian Ashtadhyayi, where he encapsulated all the rules in just 4,000 sutras. Of course, for us, it feels like 4,000 is mind boggling, but imagine the contribution he has done. In 4,000 sutras, he has codified the rules for proper grammar, all the different formation, bona fide formation anybody can come up with. Why it's so complicated? In the sense that the state machine, I don't know how many of you know the concept of state machine. State is nothing but a situation. Like for example, ice is called solid state, but when it melted, water is called liquid, right? Liquid is liquid state. But when it becomes with too much heat, it vaporizes, it comes to vapor state. So there are three states, but that vapor hopefully eventually comes back as water and becomes maybe ice again when it's frozen and things like that. It can change states like that, right? So similarly, this is the kind of a state machine for Sanskrit. So this, sorry, this is written in Devanagari. I don't know, maybe many of you may not be able to follow, but just listen at least, I'm speaking the words here. So dhatu is actually a root form for the verb. So for these, the plus sign are nothing but the suffixes we add. So if you take the root form of the verb and you add a certain suffix called sanadi pratyaya, sanadi means sun plus etc. So there are many of them actually, so 26 and many of them. If you add them, then what will you get is that, you'll get a, and then you get a, or if you add a thing pratyaya, then you get a tingantam, like that, right? So it keeps moving in this state like this. Or if the sun pratyaya, if you add a sup pratyaya, it becomes subanta, like that. This arrow, I think it's wrong or something. Yeah. Then, so like that. And then finally, when you add the sup pratyaya, pratipadikam is nothing but the base form for the objects in the world. It's called namapadam. Like for example, Rama or Krishna or Lata, like that. So for pratipadikam, in order to be used in a sentence, you need to add something called a supratyaya. So when you add the supratyaya, it becomes subantam. But the subantam can be added a certain pratyaya again to make a dhatu. And the dhatu can be added certain pratyaya again to make a pratipadikam, pratyaya. So you can imagine now you can keep adding the suffixes and you can get unlimited or unlimitedly lengthy word, one word actually, which can convey many meanings. Like for example, you can say, um, pa pane is one dhatu. So pa pane means to drink. Okay, or then pibati they say, right? Ramaha pibati means Rama drinks. To say I want to desire, I am desiring to drink, you say pipasa. Mama pipasa asti means I have a desire to drink, right? But you can also say I have a desire to drink. Then you again add another sa to that, san pratyaya. So like that, you can again say I have desire to drink. So like that, you can imagine, right? Like that, it can go forever. And these are all bona fide formation of words. And this is codified in his grammar, 4,000 sutras. So imagine if you can come and eventually come to the stage of, I have desire to learn grammar and study this systematically and absorb the logical rules, how he has codified them. There is a, this is what analytical thinking will grow in doing that. Actually, it is said that if somebody can understand Panini grammar thoroughly, there is nothing more complicated in this world. Anything like all this, your college studies and all the complicated, so-called you feel complicated, will be nothing for you actually. Anyway, so then of course, Sanskrit language is a foundation for all Indian languages, mainly, Hindi, Marathi, all of them, like Kannada and Telugu. The Varnamala, the same sequence is followed. So if you know a little bit of vocabulary in Sanskrit, assuming that if you don't know any other language, then you can be able to relate with Indian speaking languages and you'll be able to connect to different cultures actually. So it will be helpful very much in your preaching or in your services to the society. Then global linguistic value, because actually it is said that even European languages have the base, some of the base in Sanskrit. See, for example, we have Matru and Pitru means mother and father. That's a pratipadika for mother and father in Sanskrit. So finally it forms Mata, Matarau, Mataraha. Right? But then we have mater and pater in European. I don't know, maybe I'm not pronouncing correctly. So like that, you can see, there you can relate with different languages around the world as well. And then precision and clarity, as I said, this grammar which is created by Panini Maharshi is so unambiguous, it's ambiguity free, that actually NASA has considered to use this grammar for the artificial intelligence and for machine learning, because you can precisely express the statement what exactly you want without ambiguity. See, for example, in English we have put, and also we have but. Same u is there, but it's pronounced differently between put and but whereas in Sanskrit, what you write is what you read. There's no difference between that. So that way, that's why once you learn how to pronounce each of the letters properly and read them, so the way you read it will be same as yet another person reads it. There's no difference in it's not about accent or pronunciation. As long as all of you can pronounce the proper Sanskrit letters correctly, the way I would utter a letter, like for example Bhagavatam, my child will utter, or anybody else would utter the same way. So there is no confusion. So that's why it's very clear. And literary and aesthetic joy, because there are many literatures other than what our Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, which Srila Prabhupada has translated for us very easily. We can access many other literary works like Raghuvamsham, which has so much rich with allegory and similes, which kind of gives so much joy to the heart. Basically, the rasa. Eventually, raso vaisaha, Krishna is raso vaisaha, and we are going to be happy by experiencing the rasa with him. Um, right? So that to experience that rasa, we can experience in bhakti. The bhakti rasa is there directly by reading Srimad Bhagavatam and literature. But to get the culture of experiencing that rasa, the traditionally, people have studied these literatures like Raghuvamsha and all these things where the mood is brought out. And of course, we can read our natakas given by Rupa Goswami, like Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava, all this natively in original Sanskrit, so that there is no translation loss, because much is lost in translation actually. The whole thing is flattens. Of course we can convey the basic meaning, but there are many depths of layers of information which are codified in Sanskrit, original Sanskrit. So if we can access the original Sanskrit, we can relish the verses even more than what we are doing right now. See, for example, there is a incident in during Rasa Leela, when the gopis come to Krishna in the night after he plays the flute. Then Krishna says, okay, it's Gora Ratri. Right now it's very Rajini, Gora Rajini. He says in 10.29.19, you can look up this verse and read the purport also. That's what I'm summarizing here. 10.29.19. In the comment, in the translation, it says, actually Krishna says, Pratiyata Vrajam Nehasteyam. Pratiyata means go back, Vrajam, to Vraja. Neha, na iha, there's a sandhi there. Don't, na means don't, iha means here, stayam, stay. Okay, don't stay here. Pratiyata Vrajam. Go back to Vraja, he says. And in the commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary, he translates the words he juxtaposes the words in a different way to mean na pratiyata vrajam ihasteyam, means please don't go back to Vraja, stay here. You can imagine, right? This is completely opposite meaning. What is given literally at one level, which is translated, because English translation we could not have maybe 100 different meanings of the original verse, right? So we will give you one common meaning, what generally is given. But when we read the Acharya's commentaries, we understand there are multiple depths in the same verse, and we can relish the verses in a from different angles of vision. Srila Prabhupada also has said, advanced devotee should study the Acharya's literatures, so we can study them from different angles of vision. Of course, we have our Banu Maharaj who is translating the Acharya's works also into English actually. But then again, the same problem, we have to learn the subject in the language it is spoken. Then we get the real mood the whole thing which the Acharya is about to offer to us, we can access it. Okay. So that's the main things here. And then we'll move on to the next section. It's called logistics. Here in this course, like for example, what all we would follow and what we would do. So initially, it's originally targeted to children, but there are many adults also who wish to learn. So, or some people are joining because they want to learn the process of teaching. So, more than welcome, as long as they can be in a silent mode, because I will interact personally with the children and ask them questions to repeat or memorize, and they tell them what they've accomplished in homework and things like that. So, as long as they can be patient and be be what to say, yeah, patient, then I'm more than happy. And the videos will be recorded and placed also. Maybe eventually we'll pick up some course for adults as well, but right now my main focus is for the children. Then the personal, okay, so main thing is this Sanskrit, as I mentioned, it has to be taught in person. That's the ideal way, from a guru who is really qualified and studied themselves in a traditional curriculum, from traditionally in Gurukula, and they're able to impart it without vipralipsa, or without cheating propensity, or without any motive for material benefit for themselves, for their own living. So that's the ideal environment. But what to do, I have heard many people saying, "Oh, we are in US, we are here, we don't know where to study, where to learn this," and they don't have option like how we have done, where they completely pack up their stuff in US and move back to India completely and do this. Not many people will be able to do, perhaps. So what to do? So we are going to start like this, where we will share all the guidance, how to read. Our kids will do video tutorials of writing as well as speaking, pronouncing, and I will bridge the gap with English, as I mentioned. So we will offer this and share the videos. And all of you, I would suggest, whoever are self-motivated or a little bit grown up, kids can follow through the homework and follow the routine. But if they're younger kids, I would really encourage the parents to help them. So because even though they're younger, don't feel that they are, uh, that we are discussing high level topics which your kids are not able to understand. Because as I mentioned, we started when the kids are very small. So this is if the kid is younger and if they're able to follow your lead and follow to follow this curriculum, this is the ideal thing for them actually. Even though some of the higher concepts we are mentioning now, they may not be able to understand right now, but let that be a Shavana samskara for them. Means let they have the samskara of hearing. So eventually, as we repeat these concepts again and again in this course, they will get it. Okay, so I would recommend the parents to help them with the homework and make sure that within the week they complete whatever we suggest they need to complete. And as I mentioned, recordings will be provided. So for the re-hearing and things like that, and this also be provided. I will create a folder with all the resources for you, which you have to download, or some of them you have to laminate and things like that. I will share after this class. And the format for this session will be like initial 15 minutes. Originally I wanted it to be a Gita course actually, but then I realized many of them don't have the Sanskrit background. So then that also started in parallel. Actually, in a way, it's Krishna's mercy, because see, Sanskrit as it is, if you study, then you don't know how to use it unless you study the application. But if you study Gita without the Sanskrit elements, then that is offered in many places already. There are many teachers who are doing Bhakti Shastri, where they read the Srila Prabhupada's purports, as well as they read the English translation of Acharya's purports, and they offer. So, but I wanted to somehow use my knowledge of Sanskrit as well as, and also train our boys, because in 2 years they will probably go to college. So I wanted to give them our uh, Shastra foundation deeply through studying Gita with them. So that's the reason we started that journey. So Gita is our main crux, but we in that we were going to show the application of the Sanskrit we have studied in the initial 15 minutes, and we'll move on like this, because whole Sanskrit also we cannot absorb in one session, 1 hour session. It will be too much. So we have to do slowly and steadily. So that's the approach we will take. And hopefully, Krishna's mercy, everybody will gain something out of it. And last 15 minutes, I will leave for questions. If any kids have any question as to they're not able to do something, or they're not able to understand something. And every session, I'm going to give them homework slide, clearly mentioning what they need to do in order to proceed further. Okay. And then regarding fees, many people have asked, okay, Mataji, you're contributing so much, what we can do. So as I said, Brahmanical way of teaching, giving knowledge, any Shastra is to do it without any seeking monetary benefit, right? So Krishna has given us work for our own living. We are not trying to make a living out of it, for sure. But at the same time, it is said that any yagya, the sankirtana yagya, cannot be complete without giving dakshina to the brahmanas. So right now I'm so called maybe practicing brahmana, but you have the two boys, who are brahmacharis, who are trying to pick up this thing. So at the end of 30 sessions, like for example, when I did MA, 30 sessions is considered a semester actually. So end of 30 sessions, we have a non-profit organization to further this teaching and preaching, both in US as well as India. So I will offer a way for you to contribute if you wish to, and how much ever you wish to, and how much ever you can. And obviously, it's voluntary. There is nothing discrediting anybody because they have not contributed. It's just your heart, how you feel you want to reciprocate. Or somebody can give money, or somebody can give their time if they don't have money. There are many voluntary services we can do, in this field, especially the conjunction of Krishna consciousness and Sanskrit. They're wonderful services I am envisioning we need to do. So I need help there as well. So whoever can contribute the time, they can do, or whoever can contribute the wealth, they can do. Obviously, these are the two important resources we have: time and wealth. Those who have money, they don't have time. Those who have time, they don't have money. That's how it is. Okay. So now we'll move to the next section as to what we will be teaching here. So that it's a proper expectations are set with respect to parents. Like, they cannot imagine that, in this course, I'm going to teach full, Vyakarana for everything. So we'll start with reading, writing Devanagari. And kids who already know, it's a refresher for you. So you can just follow through and refine your pronunciation if there's any gap, or, practice your reading more further. And then we will cover some short stories, so that we can build a vocabulary gradually, and also understand the prose way, how to communicate with Sanskrit, and how to understand natively. So it builds our Sanskrit acumen. And then main thing goal is Anvaya Karanam, which is like to make the prose order, and that is a far-fetched goal. So for that to happen, actually many modules have to be covered within Sanskrit. Like for example, we have to cover vibhaktis, cases. We have to cover lakaras. These are nothing but tenses and moods. We have to cover the karaka, and and then krudantas. So many concepts have to be covered. So that I want to build them gradually, give the knowledge gradually, so that kids can eventually come to the way where they can also do Anvaya on their own. Okay, so that's the idea. And then a little bit you will understand Sanskrit, spoken Sanskrit here, because I will try to interact with our boys in Sanskrit. So that way you will understand a little bit, and also the stories we are going to read. So that way a little bit of spoken Sanskrit you will understand, but not like how we cover in Sanskrit Bharati, where they start with Mama Nama, Śyāmalā, Bhavataha Nama Kim, Bhavatyaha Nama Kim. So that's a complete field altogether. To understand spoken Sanskrit, they're expert kind of organizations like Samskrita Bharati, where they just kind of, they know how to systematically do it step by step, do it. So this is not the, what to say, forum for that. Definitely, all the kids, if they pick up them taste for Sanskrit, parallelly, I would recommend honestly to take up the spoken Sanskrit courses as well. So it will enrich each other, mutually enrich each other. Okay. And then we will also learn usage of online Sanskrit tools. There, when compared to like maybe 20 years back, right now we have so many online tools, very very handy for us, all of you who are very hands on with laptops, gadgets, everything. This will be very nice way to use these resources to learn Sanskrit. So we'll teach them. And then we will go through Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sanskrit commentary. So there we will also understand how the acharyas express in the shastric way the language. So the main concern, or rather this conflict I also felt, because I studied the Krishna consciousness curriculum, or rather the books in English, right? Srila Prabhupada's commentaries in English, and also my Bhakti Shastri, everything was in English. So now, actually, I started another series with my MA classmates who are very inquisitive about our curriculum, our philosophy, actually. So, during our MA sessions, many of them are asking questions about, oh, how to end karma, what happens after death, where we should we go, what is the goal of life. But somehow in the sessions, because we cover different darshanas, the acharyas cannot lean to particular darshana and say, this is what it is, right? And of course, we don't have a Vaishnava acharya, we don't have a Gaudiya Vaishnava acharya to teach. So, but I was silently listening to the questions and, understanding, oh, wow, these are really genuine seekers who want to know completely the real thing, right? So I need to offer them something. So soon after my MA, I collected some friends and I started this Gaudiya Darshanam series. That's also in another chat group. You may be able to access. Then to present that to them, to MA audience who have studied Sanskrit thoroughly in grammar every way. Of course, not thoroughly. There's much more to learn. We I had a gap, like, how would I present them? I cannot present them in English sentences. I need to make it little bit more authoritative and, quote from original Sanskrit sources and also express the language in Sanskrit and things like that, right? So that's where, because I have heard everything in English, there is a conflict, like, how do I present that in Sanskrit now? Then I realized, I don't want to give that gap to our boys because they have been trained in Sanskrit. If they start reading the Acharya's commentaries in Sanskrit, then that will fill their brain. So when they start speaking, the Acharya's original Sanskrit words will come to their in their heart. Okay, so because why? So that way they can cater to Sanskrit audience as well, and because they are reading to Prabhupada's lectures and our Guru Maharaj's lectures in English, they will know how to express that in English as well. So I wanted to fill the gap of, that they should not miss out in hearing the original commentaries from the acharyas. So that way we'll also cover that step by step. So whoever can absorb that at that depth, they can absorb it. Whoever is coming just to learn Sanskrit, they can stay for the initial 15 minutes and, walk away, or yeah, just, you can see how it applies to you. But this is what it's intended. And then we will see the application of the Sanskrit we are learning, all the fundamentals in the Gita. So gradually, not even one session will go wasted, and you should not miss even one session. If you miss, please definitely catch up before the next session, because I am very good at relating to the concepts which I have already taught. I will always refer, okay, we already discussed this, so I'm going to do this, right? This is what it is. So unless you know the connection, you will miss out on that. Okay. Of course, some concepts will be repeated again, but please don't miss out. Then what is not taught? So sandhis, this is also one element to make the anvayas that will not be taught in this series. Definitely, because we can actually take advantage of Srila Prabhupada, what he has given us. In order to do Anvaya, there are multiple steps. One is called Padachedaha, other one is called Padarthoktihi. Padachedaha means to split the words. The way words appear in the shloka are not the original way they are used, because there will be transformations when the word comes together. For example, Gana plus Isha, right? Gana is one word. Gana means a group. Isha means Lord. Gana plus Isha, if you put them together and pronounce them together very fast, it becomes Gana Isha, Gana Isha, Gana Isha, it becomes Ganesha. This is called Gunasandhi. So that's how the words, especially in Samasa and Sandhis, Visarga Sandhi is there. When, um, for example, Maruti, can you give an example of a Visarga Sandhi? Maruti, unmute yourself. Can you think of anything? Okay. Okay, anyway, we'll find a lot of examples like this. See, for example, Ramaha is there. Again, if you have Tishtati, then the way you pronounce will be different. Ramo Tishtati, Ramas Tishtati, like that it will become. So like that. So there will be transformation. So that's how it appears in the shloka. So we need to first know how to split them. But Srila Prabhupada has given us for us. So we can just use that word to word, and the meanings padarthoktihi means the meaning of the individual words that Srila Prabhupada has given us. So we can use the first two steps to go ahead in the other steps of the Anvaya, which is like to understand, to identify the Karakas, to identify the Vibhaktis, and to understand the relationship between the Kriya Pada, and to finally make the prose order. These are the other steps. And even samasas are the compound word. Actually, sandhis are the transformation between the letters. Samasas are like, for example, Rama Krishna. means Ramakrishna is one word actually. It means Ramascha Krishnascha. Iti Ramakrishna. And actually here we got the Visarga Sandhi. Ramaha cha becomes Ramascha. Okay. Shakara will come there. Okay. So that samasas also will not be spoken. But whenever the samasas come, in the sense we will discuss how to make the vigraha, how to make the meaning, but we will not discuss the process of how to do it. That's yet another Vyakarana module we need to cover altogether later. Then other thing is the elaborate spoken Sanskrit. This is not for spoken Sanskrit, as I mentioned earlier. And then grammar, as I said, the 4,000 sutras which Panini Maharshi has written, the sutras and their actual application, we will not be discussing. I will not be quoting sutras. For example, when we say Savarna Sandhi, Savarna Dirgha Sandhi, I will not tell Akas Savarne Dirgaha. I will not tell that, and I will not tell how it means, what it means. That's, we need to study higher level Vyakarana course for that. Okay. But yeah, as I said, Sandhis we are not going to discuss like that. Okay. So now we will go into Sanskritam, but actually we are out of time. I don't know how many of you can spare another 15-20 minutes, because this is a real thing. I wanted to give the pronunciation of the vowels, everything. How many of you are okay? Can you raise your hand? Okay. So many people are okay, right? Okay. So I'll continue. If anybody has to go urgently, they cannot stay. They can exit and view the recording later. Okay. But this will be the fun part, because we are going to teach you the vowels, how to pronounce, and also we are going to teach you how to write them. Okay. So let's continue. Okay. Introduction. Little bit introduction of Sanskrit as well. Sanskritam means Samyak Kritam iti Sanskritam. Samyak means properly. The language which is properly done, that is called Sanskrit, Sanskritam. So it's so properly done. It's very complete, as I mentioned, without any ambiguity. And it's so beautiful to even relish. As we experience Sanskrit, we will relish these aspects as well. And it's called free word order. Somebody is writing on the board. Okay. Why it's called free word order? Because, for example, in English, if you say Rama killed Ravana, correct? Can the kids stop drawing? I don't know who is drawing in the board. Okay. So we say Rama killed Ravana, right? That's in English. But assume what will be happen if we change the words. If we say Ravana killed Rama, would the meaning will be same? Narsima?
Yeah.
Will the meaning will be same if I tell Ravana killed Rama?
No.
It will not be same. So the completely reverse meaning comes. But whereas in Sanskrit, if you say Ramaha Ravanam Marayati, or if you say Marayati Ramaha Ravanam, or we say Ravanam Ramaha Marayati, meaning is same. So how it's possible, how it's achieved, that we will slowly see. Okay. That's because that gives the flexibility for the poets to compose their songs. Because when we write shlokas, there's something called a chandas. Chandas means there's particular rules they need to follow. It has to fit in a meter. But anushtup is one chandas, for example. That the lagu guru, everything has to be fit. So in order to fit that, sometimes they need to move the words about here and there to fit the chandas easily. So that free word order gives them the flexibility to compose their intention in different chandas nicely, easily. And in Sanskrit, there is a, one second, I don't know whether I can erase this one.
Ma'am, disable annotation option for everybody.
Okay, how do I don't know, I'll check.
In settings,
I'm
you
also,
can do it. You can do it, ma'am.
where is it? Okay. Okay, disable annotation for others. But this
Yes,
existing
yes,
one, somebody
ma'am.
has to erase it.
You can
I
erase it,
don't.
ma'am. Because you are the
Okay,
admin, you can erase it. Erase
okay,
all
let
the
me.
annotation.
Okay, okay, good. Yeah, because this will be recorded, and it's not good experience for other people. So obviously we have children, and maybe I'm not used to this online platform. So thank you for helping me with that. Okay, I disabled now. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So Hare Krishna. Okay, so we have three genders in Sanskrit. Okay, Trini lingani. Trini is nothing but here the number 3. So as you see here, there is a lingani is nothing but lingam. Lingam is nothing but gender. Lingani is the bahuvachanam or the that will come a little later. And then trini becomes adjective here for this one. So adjective follows the same linga of the original vishaya, which is going to describe. Okay. Visheshanam, visheshaha. Okay. Visheshyaha. Okay. That's the difference between vishesh. This becomes adjective and this becomes the one which is it's describing. Okay, see for example, pumlingaha, pullingaha. Okay, pullingam is masculine gender. So it generally ends with a visarga. We have Ramaha, Naraha, Krishnaha, like that. Okay, Shivaha. All these are all called pullingaha. Okay, and Srilingam is feminine gender, like Sita, Ganga, Matru. Generally, it ends with a Dirga A or Dirga E. For example, Gopi, or you can say Nadi, like that, Dirga E. Okay. So, generally, feminine ends with A, Dirga A or E. Okay. Generally, but there are other like Haswa, Ikara also is there. For example, Matihi, Gatihi. These are all Haswa, Ikara. Okay, but generally these are the general patterns. And then Napunsakalinga ends with So phalam, jalam. So we have patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? So those are all Napunsakalinga. Um, so the main difference between English as well as Sanskrit is that in English, generally whoever is a male, the object itself, if it's a male, we call masculine gender, and whoever is female, we call feminine, and whoever is in between, we call, like, for example, objects, like, for example, table and chair, they are called neuter gender. But in Sanskritam, it's not like that. So the linga is associated with the word, the way it is made, not by the object. So there could be a different Srilinga pada for an object. Yeah, so essentially linga concept is completely different. The word itself has a linga. So for example, Sita, the word itself has a linga. Even though it may be, for example, see, kartru is a shabda is there. Kartru is a rikaranta pullinga shabda. And when it comes to usage, it becomes karta. Karta, kartaro, kartaraha. So we say karta. For example, Ramaha karta asti. Okay, we can tell like that. So it karta is pointing to Rama and it looks like a Srilinga shabda, like karta, Sita, like that. But actually it's a rikaranta pullinga shabda. So like that. So it's not about the object which it's pointing to, but actually the linga is inherent to the word itself, the pada itself. And that we will learn over the period of time by using the words and looking up the dictionaries and tools. We will build up that vocabulary of which one is which linga and which table to look up to find the formation for that. Okay. Next one. Next one, there are also 3 vachanani. Vachanani is nothing but count. Basically, in English, we have only 2, singular and plural, right? There is one boy and boys, girl, girls, knife, knives. But in Sanskrit, there is another additional dimension. We have ekavachanam, singular, vivachanam, dual, and we have bahuvachanam, which is plural. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, that's very simple. So this also adds additional dimension to our these settings. Okay, now we'll go to the next section, which is called Swaraha. We'll discuss the vowels, how to pronounce them and how to write them. Okay. So this is a chart. In this chart, actually, we have the transliteration also available. So in case for people who are picking up just now, it's easy for you to how to associate the letter with the word. Okay, with the letter with the sound. Actually, actually Sanskritam is all about sound, but we have a lipi to express the words. So as long as we have the proper pronunciation, it's good actually. That's what it is. So I'm going to speak this. Okay, so I want a volunteer to repeat the same sound after me. Other people can be muted. Only one volunteer can repeat the sound after me. So who is asking? Okay, Vrinda, you can unmute yourself and repeat after me. Okay.
Okay.
Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you can repeat 2 times. Okay. Ah.
Okay. Ah.
Okay. So this is pronounced is called like a hrasva akara. It's pronounced in one eye blink. like that, like that, like that. Okay, and next one is a dirgha akara. So it's called okay, it has two eye blinks. Vrinda, you can okay, two eye blinks. So it's like this, okay. Next we have hrasva ikara. So it's called e. No, don't e. No e.
E.
Okay. And this one is dirgha e. So Ishvaraha, for example, right? E. Okay. Next we have ukaraha. This is like a number 3. So u. Okay. Uragaha, for example, u. Uragaha. Uragaha. Okay. Next we have dirgha ukaraha. Okay. Next we have rikaraha, like as I said, kartru, pitru, matru, like that. No, it's not like a ra, like yara, lava. That ra is a vyanjana that comes later. So this has to be pronounced within the mouth, like that, without the vowel sound. This itself is a vowel. So ri, it becomes like ri. Then we have dirgha rikara, like Krishna. See, when you say Krishna, right? That's a rikara here we have. The tongue will touches the roof actually, not like crush. I cannot tell other way. Okay, so the tongue has to touch the roof. Krishna. So that ra is this r. Okay, and re. Then we have dirgha rikara re. Okay, we have actually I have made alphabet cards where for each of the letter we have a sample word for you to practice on, so that I will share with you later. Then we have this called l. This called klipta. This very rarely used. Mostly it's in Vedic words. Now in our normal words it's not used. Then we have a. Can you repeat, Vrinda? Yeah. So this is actually dirgha. From here onwards, everything is dirgha. So this is a difference with Hindi. Is that Hindi and normal Telugu or native languages, we have 3 versions of a. We have, for example, I. We have 3 versions. We have short a, I. So in Sanskrit, the short ekara is not there. So we have to map this one to the second version of the letter. So we should say a. Okay. Always dirgha. And this one is I, like Airavata. Okay. I. Okay. 2 times you can say I. Okay. Then these are all dirgha. Then we have okara. Okay. Then we got au. Okay. And we have aha. Okay. Aha. This is like, for example, patram. We say, right? Patra and dot on top. Patram. And we have ramaha. Then the 2 dots becomes sound. Okay. So these are all the swaras. Why they call swara is called actually, Jiva Goswami has written Harinama Vyakaranam, right? Where he has given all the grammar, which after studying the 12 grammars, all the previous acharyas, he has condensed everything and given the sutras and codified everything in such a way that while studying grammar, somebody can utter Lord's names, right? So swaras are independently pronounced. They can like vowels, right? A, E, I, O, U. You can pronounce them independently, like that. So this, as Vrinda just now pronounced, she can tell them as they are. Just by reading them, she can tell them. But when we discuss the Vyanjanani later, we understand that they cannot be usually pronounced on their own. They need the help for the swara for that. So Jiva Goswami calls the swaras as Sarveshwaraha. Sarveshwaraha means there are all like avatars of Krishna basically, right? And he calls this Rasva, right? Vamana. That's a short one. Vamana. And Dirgha as Trivikrama. How Vamana Deva, right? Initially he came small and later he became big. So like that, you can say Hrasvakaraha, Dirgha Akaraha. This is Vamana and this is Trivikrama. So that's how beautifully Jiva Goswami has done. I have not thoroughly studied even Panini grammar also, not completely, because as I mentioned, but about whatever is needed for our Shastric study, as well as even Vyakarana also little bit, Harinam Vyakarana little bit I studied. So some I'm able to relate with you here. This is the chart actually I'm going to share with you in the resources. I have codified the dirghas in a different color. So when you pronounce, it's easy for you. So whatever there in pink color are dirghas basically. So again, if I tell again, a, I, u, r, la. This is not there actually. So a, I, o, au, aha. Okay. So these are the pronunciation. So what we will do, we will give you the tutorial, video tutorial just for pronouncing the letters, vowels. So you don't have to go through the video and go to the particular section and practice. Okay. There'll be separate video just for pronouncing the vowels. So you can repeatedly hear the sound and practice yourself. Okay. But give us some time. I have to make it to be done by our kids. So we need some time. So just give us some time. Okay. Now we'll go to the next section of writing this for us. Okay. So I will invite my elder son, Narsima, to share his screen and start the process. Okay, he's sharing his whiteboard screen. I'm going to explain while he's writing how to write it relating to the concepts we already know, right? So that way it's easy for you to practice writing these letters. Okay. So first, Narsima, you follow my lead, okay? So first, Narsima is going to write Hasva Akaraha. So he has to write number 3. He has to write number 3, and he has to write like a hyphen or a minus symbol from the middle of the 3. And then he has to draw a vertical line up from there. And then he has to write a bar from left to right. Okay, left to right bar. So there are 3 steps. Okay, I don't know. Narsima, that's your drawing. You can remove that line, black line.
This is not mine.
Oh, somebody, I thought I disabled the annotation. Okay. So yeah, everybody got it right. So you have to write number 3 and put a arrow, put a dash, hyphen or minus sign, and then put a T next to it. That's it. This is akara. Okay, Hrasva akara. Now for dirgha akara. Narsima, write dirgha akara. Dirgha akara, you have to do like the Hrasva akara first. It builds on top of that. So first Hrasva akara, then you have to write yeah, you have to write the dash in the middle, hyphen. Then, can the kids stop drawing on the board, please? And then you have to write a T formation. Okay. And then one more line. Yes. Dirghakara. And then draw the T, like the bar. Okay. Yes. That's a okay. So same like Hasva, just write one extra line and then put a top line. Okay. Next we'll write E. E, how you write is first you write a small line, small bar, vertical bar. Then you write a number S, or rather the letter S. Okay. This, and then do some twist at the bottom. That's it. Just write S and put a twist, decorate the S, and then write the title bar from left to right. Okay. That's E. Now for Dirgha Ikaraha, same thing. We'll write the Hasva Ikara first. Because it's Dirgha, it has some extra. In Telugu, we call this Kommu. So we'll have that Kommu. So first, Narsima is going to write the Hasva Ikaraha. You can write Narsima. Yeah. Number 1, and then you have that, and then the bar, and then you have to draw the Kommu from top to bottom. Like it will be like like this. Some extra hook. You can say it's a hook. Okay. Next we have Ukaraha. Who is very simple. It's just number 3. Narasimha is going to draw right number 3. Narasimha, right. And then put a bar on top. So all the Sanskrit letters have the title from left to right. Okay, or the bar. Okay, now Dirgha Ukara is also very simple. So you just have to write number 3. Now you're writing now Dirgha Ukara, right? Right? You finished writing Dirgha Ukara?
Yes, now I finished.
Okay, then do the Rikara. You have to write a greater than symbol. Okay, and vertical line. And then you have to go up from the middle and go like a twisty there and then come down. Yeah, like this. And at the bottom, you have to write a C symbol. And then you have to write the top bar, left to right. Okay. So that is Rikara, Hrasva Rikara. Now we'll write Dirgha Rikara. It's same like Hrasva, except that the bottom, you'll have 2 C's. And we have same like this, but you have 2 C's at the bottom. This is Dirgha Rikara. As you see so beautifully, the language, the Dirgha builds on top of the Hrasva. So it's easy. If you learn at least the vowels are only 12. If you learn 6 of them, you'll be able to easily write the other 6. Okay, now we have A Karaha, Lukaraha. Narasimha will write M symbol. For Lukara, M symbol, and a vertical line from the middle of the M up, and then he will put a bar from left to right. And then he'll do a small U at the rightmost edge of the M. Okay, that's it. Okay, that is Lakara.
Mataji, I'm really sorry. Is it possible to show Re and Lre again?
So what we'll do, Mataji, I'm going to give a video tutorial for writing letters separately. Okay. Okay. This is just in the class. Because then you can watch it how much ever time you want. Just for the letters, I'm going to give a separate video. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, Lukara, and then we have Ekara. Narasimha, can you write Ekara? Ekara. So A is that a straight line and an angle, and a small line on the right and left to right bar. Okay, that's Ekara. Then you have Aikara, same like A, but you will have again Komu on the top, like A, and then the Komu always starts from top to bottom. This is Aikara. Okay. Now we have next is AI Okara. O is same, like you write the Dirgha, because O is a Dirgha. So you write the Dirgha Akara first with one more line on the right, and then close the bar, and then you write one Komu on the second edge, like this, from top to bottom. That's Okara. Then you have Aukara. So same like O, but you will have 2 Komus for that. That's it. So write number 3 and a dash minus and put a line, one more line, close the bar, and then 2 Komus. This becomes Au. Okay? Au. Okay, sorry, I deleted that. Okay. O, Au, Aha. Is nothing but Akara. It's very simple. Just write Hrasva Akara and put a dot on top. That's a small dot. Bindi. Girls know, right? What is bindi? Small dot on top. Then aha is nothing but write and 2 dots on the right. Akara. And then put 2 dots on the right. Okay, that's it. Okay. So these are the swaras. So we have shown you how to write this, but I will give you the video as Mataji said. I'll give you the link so you can see them. Okay. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Okay. Yeah. So we'll end here. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anybody has any questions or comments? Last roundabout. They can raise their hands. Otherwise, thank you. Okay, Vrinda is saying something.
I liked your session.
Oh, thank you, Vrinda. Thank you so much. How old are you?
7.
7 years. Okay, good. Thank you for patiently listening. Okay. You practice. Okay. Oh, I have to give you the homework slide. Sorry. So the homework is, so I will share the charts and the cards which are used for teaching our kids. So parents can laminate them. So the best way is to learn playfully. So the cards have a letter on the front and the back side has a word. So that way you can jumble the cards as the kids learn more and more letters. You can jumble the cards and ask them randomly what the letters are. So that helps them in the recognition. There is a video also we have done how we taught them. I will share that link as well. It's on the website. That's for the parents. And for the uh, kids, they can practice recognizing and writing all the vowels. So I will also share the worksheets. Like for each letter, there will be like a lined, worksheet where you can practice the letters nicely in a round way, all the letters. So try to write all the vowels, try to recognize all the vowels. So in the next class, initial 10 minutes, I'm going to quiz the kids. For kids who are learning the letters first time, I'm going to ask them to recognize the letters. So you can show your knowledge at that time. Okay. So that's how to recognize, write, and pronounce. Okay, anybody has any questions or comments? They can raise their hand. So first is Madhavi and Radhika.
Mataji, I was doing this book, Teach Yourself Sanskrit, at
Ah,
home.
okay.
What is the difference between Esha and Sa with Etat and Tat?
So you're asking the question. Okay, so the question, the difference is Eshaha means when the object is nearby. See, for example, I have what is say Eshaha. I don't have any like for example, if my son is near to me, then I will tell Eshaha Narsimha. But if my Narsimha is far away, okay, then I say Saha Narsimha. So basically what it means is this is Narsimha. So Esha translates to this. This is Narsimha. And Saha translates to that. That is Narsimha. So this we show for a person near us, correct? And that we show to a person far away from us. So Esha Narsimha or Saha Vrikshaha. That is a tree. This is Narsimha and that is a tree. Okay, that is Eshaha and Saha. Other one is Etat Tat, right? You're asking?
Yes, Mataji.
Same like this. Etat means, Etat is indicating an Napunsakalinga word. So for example, I can tell Etat Pustakam. This is not a Pustakam actually. Okay, wait, let me get a Pustakam. Okay. So I can just tell Etat Pustakam because this book is near me. Okay. But if there is a fruit, there's a mango fruit on the tree far away, I will say Tat Phalam. This is the book, that is the fruit. The same thing, same concept, but because the linga is different, because now we are talking about Napunsaka linga, the formation will be different. So it will be Eshaha Saha, or you for a female, for example, it will be Esha Sa, or for Napunsaka linga, it will be Etat Tat. Okay? Okay? Is it okay?
Yes, Mataji, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Any adults have to say something?
And Mataji, one more question.
Huh.
What is the Vibhakti poem?
Oh, that we'll discuss in the next class. Okay. There's a very nice poem. You are, how old are you?
Mataji, 11.
11. You love poems?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a nice poem to make this learning very easy for you. Okay. Very fun for you. Okay. So that way we can learn this complicated matter by simply reciting poem, and that too the poem about Krishna. Okay.
Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Chaitanya Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Actually, it is my son name is Chaitanya. My name is Mataji
Oh,
Sharat Hadavale. In the morning, I sent the
okay.
message. It
Oh,
was
okay.
1.5. Sorry, Mataji,
Oh,
it was not my intention. I thought Mataji, but it was a very nice session. I followed you on Light of Godhead website also. I sent one email. Actually, it's I think almost 1 year back, but it was nice
okay.
actually. Very good initiative, Mataji. It was very nice.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
So how old is your son, Prabhuji?
He's 80-year-old Mataji. Actually, we are running Mataji Sri Srivas Angan Vedic Sunday School,
Oh,
Palava city. Basically, we are staying in Mumbai, phase 3.
okay.
So basically, we are running. So definitely, I think some good. That is what actually Sanskrit. I also did want to learn Mataji.
Okay,
Definitely.
Prabhuji. Yeah, in helping your son, you will also learn, Prabhuji, nicely.
Yeah, yeah, yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Haribol.
Thanks.
Thank you. Who else? Anybody has any other questions or comments? I'm seeing the hand raise on the Zoom. Okay, Madhavi and Radhika are again raising hand. They have to say something.
Yes, Madhaji, I have a question.
Yeah.
Like in this chapter again, that Esha Sa, that confusion you were clearing. So in that there's one picture of a watch. In that comes in Striling. They have written Esha Ghati,
Yes.
and there is a Belan, like a rolling pin that we use for making chapatis. That says Sa Velani. So
Yeah.
I was thinking it is an apunsakling. It comes under neutral. But how is that certain things, non-living things, are in female?
Yeah, so
Like a
that's what
cycle.
that's what we explained little bit. So the linga is not about the object it's pointing to. The linga is embedded within the word itself. See, for example, you say
Okay.
Belani because it's
Mm-hmm.
ikara, generally ikara Strilingas.
Okay.
Okay, and the other one you told is Ghati, ikara,
Mm-hmm.
like Nadi, that's called Strilinga. So how do we
Okay.
know which object is which linga? You need to learn from the tools. So I'm going to maybe I'll show you now
Okay.
so that it will be easy for you to. So you have to go to this website. You're still seeing my screen, right? Which is
Yes.
the website. Okay. Uh, so you go to this. There's a website called ashtadhyayi.com. Very nice tools are there in this, and all our tools for tables, everything will be here. So you have to go to. See, now we need to know the linga, right? So for that you need to go to Koshanvesha.
Okay.
Koshanvesha is basically a dictionary. So, for
Okay.
example, let's see, but some of them you will not find here. Everything will not find here. Oops. And you need to know how to type in Sanskrit. So,
Okay.
Ghati, if you do, see, it says Ghati is nothing but Sri,
Mm-hmm.
like that. So, immediately you will know. Kosha will tell what is its general meaning and what
Okay.
is the linga it is. See, for example, let's say I will do Belani. Belani. So, that's also will come. They say, I think it's a Mahaprana Be or what?
It's Vela knee. It's half la and full la, and then
Oh,
Vela.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Bellani. Okay. Okay, I picked up based on the way you are speaking. That's also not
Yeah.
coming. Okay. Okay.
Vela, Velani. It says
Way or ba?
Velani.
Oh, va. Okay. Okay, 1 minute. So way. See, that's why pronunciation is so important.
Yes.
So see, now we got. See,
Yeah.
Vellani is 3.
Yes.
Okay. So like that, for example, if you say Patram, right? So
Yeah.
patram, because it's Napunsakalinga, but that's an Napunsakalinga in the usage. But the Pratipadikam, see here, the Koshan Vesha, you should put Pratipadikam. So for
Okay.
Srilinga, the Pratipadikam is same as what we use, so it's easy. But whereas if you say Pratram, you'll not find anything here. But if you say Patra, that is the root form, then you will get that it's Napunsakalinga. So we need to little bit understand some concepts to
Yeah.
understand how to use this also. So gradually, we'll build upon this. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so yeah. Yes, Prabhuji, any other questions? Yes. Okay. So we'll end here. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.